In my LEGO project series, made up of 7 episodes, I will show my designing of an Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC being built from scratch, including building the template model used as a design guide for the main LEGO model. Included in the episodes are footage, all of which I've taken, are footage of the real Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC double-decker bus model, on which my LEGO model is based on. The episodes will also include my building of the template model, the designing process of the main model, the final assembly of the main model, and a small tour around my collection of 80 plus LEGO vehicle models. The scale I use for my LEGO vehicle models are approximately 1:30, and for the weight synchronisation, 117 grams equals a metric ton. This is to give a proportional weight sensation with my models. I have used this dimension scale and weight scale from about 2012. Occasionally I will conduct a staged LEGO vehicle crash, which will be used as a kind of crash test assessment. When one of my model LEGO models are due for destruction to make way for new models, instead of taking it apart by hand, I use a makeshift stock car racing arena for me to reenact the banger racing destruction derbies, like the real motorsport stock car banger racing events that I regularly attend. There is some of my footage I've taken of these real events shown in this introduction, alongside my LEGO model destruction derbies. I do these for my entertainment instead of just taking it apart by hand the mundane and boring way. I am a big fan of stock car banger racing after all. One of my LEGO models can last anything from a couple of years to well over 10 years. If you're wanting to see my YouTube videos I made using footage I've taken of the real banger racing events that were shown in the introduction to this episode, then I've included links in the description to this episode. I have also included links in the description to some of my other LEGO YouTube videos I made as well. Thanks for selecting my videos, and I hope you enjoy them all. In this episode E2, you could see the continuation of the designing of my main Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC double-decker bus LEGO model. Enviro 400 MMC, just awaiting its final reassembly. So that's all the components. These, I suppose I could put them in there, put sellotape, just a wee bit of sellotape around there. That won't really make any difference to the weight, but I'll still weigh it anyway. I'll just be a tiny bit of tape just to stop them rattling about, and they'll go in the underbelly, the wheelbase ballast tank. The final build, by the way, all this will be tidied. This will be one big flat workbench. All that will be covered. They put the covers all this, so it's all tidy. There's no bits of LEGO lying about. So all the LEGO that will be around is the bits off of there, so it doesn't get mixed up. So this will all be tidied for when it comes the final assembly. So I'll be disassembling, as I say. I'll close all this off. I'll put the plate, the covers, the lids on them, and then I'll have it all clear. So I'm just working, concentrating solely on that when it comes to disassembling it. It's sub-assembled components for reassembly, final assembly. What I decided to do is add a transponder, tracker, and radio antenna representative underneath under the front overhang there. So I've made a wee component for that representative, and the weight is kind of stabled at 1264 grams, which is fine, so it's really negligible. But I just decided to add that in. I'm going to fit the ballast in now, and I'll give it another weigh as well, just to make sure it's all accurate. Auxiliary components I added there, negligible weight. As I say, I'll be weighing it again. This is also acts as a marker as to remind me as to where to put it on the final assembly. And I'll mark it. But I'll double up as some miscellaneous auxiliary components, valves, air brake valves, regulator valves, something like that. Ballast tank opened. There's plenty of areas to put the coins within the wheelbase. Obviously, as I said, there's ballast tanks in the interdecking. I certainly won't be needing all that. There's plenty of spaces for the coins to go, and they won't be rattling about because they'll be getting taped. Being a top quality shelf model. Unlike that of the mid-shelf ones, they don't need to be taped, they could rattle about. That's just my standards and my qualities of how I designate my Lego models. Top quality shelf models, all the joins have got to be overlapping. On mid-quality ones, like the trailer there in the background, I've got loads, I'll get them all lined up in a sort of like a line-up, so you could go through them all at some point. The mid-shelf ones don't really need, not so fussy about quality, so they're just built quickly. Bits don't need to overlap, but on the top quality ones, a lot of time and thought go into it, and there's always overlapping, and sometimes by a minimum of 2 in certain areas, structural areas and not chassis components. There's always a minimum of 2 overlap, so it's a really rigid, strong design. The mid-shelf quality ones, you could hear it cracking about when it's being lifted up and moving, because it's not as rigid. It's not as, as I say, I don't even do a final build for these. It's as built as they are. But the top quality ones, I spend a lot of time, and then say disassemble it and reassemble it for final assembly and everything. So the ballast taped up, and I'll just add it in so it doesn't rattle about. And I'll put the ballast tank covers on, and I'll give it another weigh. Ballast tanks re-sealed up again with the ballast in them, and I'm going to give it another weigh just to check the weight. Fluctuating between 1262 and 1263. I removed one of the 5p pieces because of the little extras, including the sellotape, and it sort of fluctuates between 1262 and 1263, which is okay. So the lowest, at 1262, the lowest that will go will be 10.78 metric tons, or 10,786 kilograms, which is pretty much spot on considering the model that I based it off is 10,784, and the maximum it could be 1263 grams, somewhere between the two anyway. So I divide that by 7, that's 10,794 kilograms, or 10.794 metric tons at 1262, 1263. It's sort of fluctuating between the two, so it'll settle between there and there. I touched it, it just sort of varies. It'll probably settle at 1260. I'll not go any less than 1262 and no more than 1263. So even if I average them out, 1262 plus 1263, divided by 2, then divided by 117, it's averaging at 10,790 kilograms, or 10.79 metric tons. So that's good enough for me. Complete, but it isn't officially complete because, as I said, it's going to be disassembled for final assembly. It's disassembled into its subcomponents and then built with quality for its final assembly. All the subcomponents have got to be logged, and I'll record all the subcomponents, check them all, make sure everything's connected properly, and then reassemble it for its final assembly. And I'll do a separate video of that. Now I've done the checklists. If anything does come to mind, I need to modify anything, then so be it. The weight will be synchronised to accommodate that. But I shouldn't think I need to do any more modifications to it. But anyway, if anything does spring to mind, then I'll be doing it. But I don't think so. I'm quite happy with it as it is. Anyway, that's the model built, but not completed. As I say, it's not officially built. It's all got to be disassembled. And you'll get to see all the components and then do that. That's the bonnet representative. You can see all the engine stuff, as I said, transmission and everything. Seat brackets, floor runners, all that's in there. seat backs, standing mats for representative for standees, banister for the stairs, or the upper banister rather, representative heat vents, all that's inbuilt, all built into there. Doing a bit at a time over many days, or weeks actually, and obviously we other commitments, work and everything, I'm going to do a wee bit at a time here and there. So, the final assembly will be done in one separate day. That will be done from start to finish. There won't be any breaks in that. When I disassemble it, then I'll catalogue all the parts, and when it comes to final assembly, it'll be done in a oneer, and I'll record that in real time as well. Probably take about an hour to do that, to reassemble it. I'll show I'll show a picture or maybe a video of the real bus on which my Lego model is based off of. It's the Alexander Dennis Limited Enviro 400 MMC with either or voith or ZF transmission, either or mirrors or monitors for the rear side view, or the side view mirrors or monitors. They could double up as either a mirror or a monitor representative. Voith transmission, it could be the transmission representative in my model could either double up as a ZF or voith. All the representatives will be universal for the MMC model, the Explore Dundee models of which I drive, as best as I can with the limitations with Lego. I'll also go through a full explanation of the design features, the weight scale synchronization, and basic model techniques, Lego building techniques that I use for my models that I build. I've got two sets of quality. I've got the top shelf quality models, which this is, and I've got mid shelf quality models, which are probably these there as an example. I'll get them all lined up and do a proper presentation of them all. That's top quality, top shelf model, top quality, top shelf model, built earlier. So they were built through years. I've started doing Lego building for probably 40 years, but I mean I started with this scale within the 10 years. So I've standardised on a scale and weight scale about 10 plus years ago. And in that time I've built, and I still have, lots of models. A lot of them are upstairs as well, so it's only just some of them that's being shown here. All different qualities. So, top shelf quality model. Coach 80-seater, single decker. Next step. This is mid shelf quality. That was a mid shelf quality Volvo B10M Alexander PS type. Takes a lot of time to build the top shelf ones, but it doesn't take any time to build. Well, it does, it takes time, but not as much time to build a mid shelf quality model. Like this flatbed truck there, trailer, and the corresponding tractor units in there as well. This is a template model. It doesn't even come in a mid shelf quality. It was only built for a template. All my models have been registered, so I've got a date as to when they were built, a specification sheet. Whether it's first or second generation, meaning if there's a model built before it, or for the model it's resembling in real life, I could either just, build another one with better features and call it generation 2 of that model. This doesn't been registered at all, it's just a template. And what I do with my old models is I have because I'm into stock car racing and banger racing, I like to reenact that with my Lego models. So I destroy them. I've got a separate set of models that I use for smashing up, and I'll record it similar to that as they do in the stock car racing. I've got a makeshift arena, and I'll just, instead of just disassembling it the boring way, I'll have a bit of fun out them, smash them up, crash them into each other, see what one wins, for terms of strength, learn from which is stronger for the structural components and how I build them. So it's a bit of a learning exercise as well as entertainment for me. And I could film that, show you clips of that as well, of which this will be happening. That'll be entering in the destruction derby. There's a lot of these models as well, and old X-shelf models. When it comes to time to replace them, recycle the Lego. I don't smoke, by the way. These are just the pack I got for my hill walking. I've never smoked in my life, in case you're wondering what they're there for. I've just got to carry lighters. I don't have to, but it's a good idea if I'm going out in the hills with the Hill Walking Club. If there's a problem and I need to, you know, camp or whatever overnight, it's always good to have a lighter just in case we need to do it, especially in the winter. But in case you're wondering, no, I don't smoke, but that's what they're. I'll be storing them somewhere better than this. They're only there temporarily. They'll be getting stored away, not in the house, probably elsewhere in the lockup. I don't want any fire hazards. Anyway, enough the point. Regard all that. It's just a basic calculator. I've had that for years. This is for using for the weight synchronisation calculations. This top shelf quality car model built years ago. So as the years go on, the quality gets better because I've got more Lego as the years go on. In the earlier days when I started building it, like this is an early top shelf quality model. The Lego was limited. It's an 8-wheeler tipper truck. Didn't have as much Lego to my availability, so just to make do with what there was, which obviously hampers the quality. But as time goes on, the Lego collection increases, the quality increases accordingly because there's more Lego to build better designs of models. So anyway, just a wee briefing. I'll go through a proper briefing on another video. I could probably document this as a series. It'll be too long to do in the winter because I'll show a video of this being built from scratch, the template model. I'll show all this during the design process, and I'll show this again during the main assembly. I'll go through the techniques that I use, like how I always make sure it's overlapped on top quality models, whereas on the early ones it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You could have the join going all the way down there and it's weaker, but it's quicker to build. It's quicker to build. I don't need to reassemble it and anything like that. Quality is not in them as much as it is in the top shelf quality model. I call it top shelf because of shelves in this alcove, top shelf being the top shelf and the setup there generally. Mid shelf, well, although there are top shelf quality models on there, I just say it's like a step down and just refer to it as mid shelf. Bangers and pro stock cars, well, naturally used to be stored in there. I'll find another space for it. They're dumped there at the moment for temporary measure because the alcove is going through a bit of a just shuffling things around. So, but come during the main assembling of this will all be getting tidied, and it will just be a clear workbench to concentrate solely on that. No other bits of Lego will all be covered so that it doesn't get any mixed up when doing the final assembly for that. I'm going to wait to get this shelf cleared. I'll put covers on it so it's ready in preparation for the disassembly and the reassembly. So I've got to disassemble this model into sub-assembled components and then reassemble it for final assembly. So I'll be clearing all this workspace, not clearing it, but I'll be putting the plates, covers over it, so it's nice and empty. So both together, that's a top shelf quality model one. It's not completed obviously, as I say, it's still waiting to be disassembled, to be reassembled. So all I've done is I've put them side by side. This is the template model, which is obviously, you know, built. You would regard it as cheap, quickly built. Not of the same quality as that one. But that's just template, that's what this one's based off of. So it's very similar. It was basically the basis of the design. They're very similar. Very similar. The window layouts and everything, the length, the major components, the major features, design features are the same, but slight variations in the fine detail. I've had to obviously revise things when it came to doing the main model because some things that I didn't. See that feature there and that feature. That does actually look better on the template model than it does on the main model. So it isn't too late to modify this to get it like that. It's not too late. It just means you'd have to redesign it slightly, modify it, because I think that looks better. So, and if I have to do that, it's not going to be near ready for final assembly because it'll have to be remodified and then it'll have to be reweighed, calculated to get the weight synchronisation right. because it'll be slightly modified. So I think actually, now the more I think about it, that just looks so much better. Which means I'm going to have to do a major redesigning on the chimneys for the radiator and the air intake. Meaning they'll probably have to be set further in to allow this to go. Because there is actually space, it's too wide. The vents could probably stay roughly in the same place, but the radiator and intake will have to be pushed back and slightly redesigned to allow that. So, and actually I've made the decision that I've had time to think about it, and that's what's good about it, to do these things, to actually have time to revise things and have a time to think things through before writing off as a final complete. Although I did that, and then I thought, well, it's not too late to modify it. I could fairly easily do it. Like, it's not going to be too difficult, but I can do it. I do actually prefer that. The more I look at that and set in just a wee bit there. See, that's actually further in anyway. I think that's what, 4, 5, that must be. Brief modification for the air intake auxiliary representative. I've just narrowed it down to 2 wide to go on the vent chimney, and for the radiator, same thing, it's still 2 wide anyway, but I've just relocated it further in because the chimneys are now set back a wee bit. I haven't moved them any further into the interior. It's still the original space in the interior. It's just at the rear window. I've actually took this area out and I've kept the lights in this location. It looks better. It looks been improved. It's not as good as that. I could have it like that, but I'm accepting that. It's just because it might be a little bit complicated to modify it any further. And it's acceptable for the terms of rigidity and quality of build. So it's still overlapping and supporting this bit here as well. So as you can see, they're only 2 wide now instead of 3 wide, and I've modified it as such. So the induction system for the air filter air intake is narrowed to 2 to fit into this side, and the radiator is just set further in. Rather than it was sitting there, it was the same width, but it was sitting further back. Now it's just further in because the recesses are further in because this area is filled in. So I could have this recessed out from the window to keep it clearer. So it looks more like that. So I'll get it all back together, and then I'll hopefully still be in schedule for tomorrow to do the disassembly for the final build. So I'll recalculate the weight. I don't think it'll be much, but I'll get this assembled and I'll recalculate the weight. I'll get the engine and all that put back in. That bit's made redundant because the radiator's now housed further in. I could still use this though, just as a representative for somebody else. I'll just sit it there nonetheless. Similar to that for this one on the induction side. Back together with the modification. As I say, the radiator vents are still there. The radiator's still there, it's just set further in, as you can see. You can actually see a wee bit through there as well, which is handy, because it would have been blocked with the radiator prior to it. And the induction side, it's not bad. It's interesting, you can see some of the representative stuff in there. The back window looks better, it's improved. Certainly finding it better what it was. I'll put it like that. Weight, it seems to be okay. It's sitting at 1262, which is the minimum. 10.786 metric tons, which is fine. So I didn't actually have to adjust much because there was minimum amount of changes for the modifications. Just relocated a few things and swapped a couple of bricks over and that was it. Kept the same standard of overlapping and made sure that this was still secure. So I protruded that over there to lock the light clusters in. Otherwise it would have been set further in, or they would have been on their own, which wouldn't be acceptable. So I've kind of compromised and I've accepted that. And the event is still the same. Right, I'll have to do for now because I've got to go and back to work. I'm just on my break. I'll put the lid back on for that. It's just all ready for final assembly. So disassemble into the subcomponents. I'll go into a much more in-depth view of all the bits for its final assembly. Staircase module for the assembly, just recording it. Tank representative fits on that flat bit at the bottom. As you know, this bit here goes through the centre of the tank. Half shafts, half axles. It's like such. Sub-assembly components, starting with the chassis frame. Then you've got the front auxiliaries, fuel tank, batteries, auxiliaries, module, tracker, transponder, representative front axle with fuel tank, representative plus suspension included, rear axle, rear overhang auxiliaries, some more, drive shaft and back diff representative, part of the rear axle and suspension, each side of it. And you've got the engine, radiator, induction, exhaust treatment, a few other auxiliaries that go with it, chimneys and rear bustle or rear engine cover assembly, lower deck seats assembly, ballast tank assembly with ballast, staircase and stair bulkheads assemblies, and you've got the floor pan, the lower deck floor pan assembly. I haven't even gone into deck shit for the upward. I'm to get that done now. I've got to remove those. So the panelling, upper deck seats, roof assembly, upper deck, driver cab, instruments, vandal screen, wiper assembly, passenger door assemblies, representative, front rear overhang skirting assemblies, bonnet catch. A lot. And that's the template model, remember. For removing the interdecking for the lower deck roof, that's the one beside the staircase, one's alongside it. Then you've got the driver passenger door above that. Driver cab window's got to come off, then you've got all this to come off, which is the passenger side. That's where the rear chimneys are. There's none there. It's covered with that. That's the interdecking assembly coming off in the winner. And the reinforcing panels blocks remain there for the side panels. These remain in situ. And you've got the runners that go across, the support runners for the roof, the lower deck, the upper deck flooring, and just body width stability or rigidity, cross beams That's now the above passenger door one that's got to come off, and the one with the driver cab. Oh, that's got to come off as well. Originally that's what the old models used to be like. They never used to have underdeck flooring. But it's the later ones do. That's the other ones. They would have been ballast tanks, especially that one. But because of the weight, it's actually acting as body stiffeners. It stiffens up the body, and it doesn't. There would have been all that availability should I need to use it for ballast. The old models that never had in their decking was all the ballast had to be put in the centre wheelbase, or the belly. But the newer ones incorporate, or the later models that are built incorporate the interdecking, which gives use for ballast. But in this case it doesn't need it. So it just acts as make the body more solid, more rigid. That's the above driver's cab one. Driver cab light representative, driver monitors representative, or double up as monitors for the mirrors, exterior mirrors, or interior mirrors of cameras. That's above the passenger door. Ballast interdeck, or interdecking. And of course we've got the upper deck floor layout. Sub-assembly. That's the chassis, basically mechanically complete. It's just the chassis alone. You've got the transverse mounted engine, you've got the induction on the near side, and you've got the radiators, cooling packs, water cooler, oil cooler, transmission cooler, all that pack representatives on the near side. Sorry, the off side. That's the off side, the driver's side. The induction side's on the near side. That's the air filter induction side. And you can also have an air filter for the air induction for the air brakes, and also for the cooling of the generator or the alternator. Some of the bigger ones of the older ones have got one big 24 volt alternator, generator, and it has ducting, air ducting down from the air intake for the cooling the windings down, the alternator windings down. But the modern buses now have two 12 volt alternators in series for the 24 volt system that has an open airflow at the back of the alternator. So they don't necessarily need to have trunking for it. However, the air brakes still need clean air coming in, so that will represent the engine air intake induction, and also the air induction intake for the air brakes for the compressor. And as I say, maybe use it for alternator as well if you want. So that's the chassis, basically. All the running gear representatives, axle oil cooler, transmission oil cooler representatives. And you've got the main structure, obviously, the main structural frame, batteries, fuel tank, and other auxiliaries, transponder radio. And that would, of course, just go on top. I'll show you that. This would obviously, the engine cover and chimneys would just sit on top, basically. Obviously it won't be assembled like this, but this is just giving an idea what it looks like. So they feed through the chimneys there at each side of the engine cover. It's space saving, basically, because it's a double deck compact space, so they utilise as much space as they can. Hence the chimneys. So that's what it would look like with the engine cover encapsulated on. Obviously with the floor pan being off, it's not going to be anything like resembling it being complete, but it does give it sort of an engine encapsulated cover with the top of the induction and cooling packs with the vents on the exterior to represent that. Put the light on, I don't really need to, but I could show you anyway. So as you know, because I've redesigned it, it's now 3 instead of 2. Sorry, it's only 3 wide, which only leaves room for 2 opening or chimney width, because it's just basically used to be right up to the end, but I redesigned it, so it would have been 3 originally, and now it's down to 2. So I've had to relocate it when I redesigned it earlier to move everything into the centre. And it's still a rigid design, it's still well designed, overlaps and everything. So that's actually the wrong way, that should be facing the other way for the exhaust SCR, or selective catalytic reduction, or recycling, or whatever it stands for. The SCR, SCR I think it is, exhaust treatment, the other way, so it's just facing the right way. I'll take the capsule off. Come final assembly, I'll tidy these sellotape. It's not too bad, it's just to stop it from rattling about basically. It doesn't rattle about anyway, it didn't. So I'll just temporarily put this back on again. I didn't fix the one or clamped it on or anything, I just sat it there for a demonstration purpose. It's just sort of more of a demonstration. It was just dry run, it wasn't actually on tight. It wouldn't anyway, because there's a gap missing there. So the floor, obviously, the floor pan is all floor base for the lower deck. It's very fragile at the moment because there's no any chassis, nothing holding it together. That's the floor runners on the edges, the seat brackets, standing mats. That's the base for the staircase, luggage compartment. The seat goes on there, it's all taken off at the moment. Driver cab seat. That bit protrudes out because this bit is slightly different. It needs to have the emergency exit side on there. On the near side it doesn't have the emergency exit, on the off side it does, so it didn't have a panel going right along there. So it's slightly different on the other side, on the off side. So the off side is still on this assembly, which is the engine cover, rear cover. So it would in fact sit like that. So to leave the gap for the emergency door. So this bit just stays on this side, incorporated. So all the vents for the chimneys. What's on the other side? There's quite a lot of components. That's all the pillars, the window support pillars, or window uprights, you know, doubles up for the window apertures, basically them. That's the pillars. And the angle bit where it meets the runners, the cross beams. So these yellow bits. The upper deck floor, the upper deck roof is monocoque design, like that, similar to the pressed steel car. It's got runners incorporated in there as well, but it's also got sandwiched matting going across this way and that way. So it's all one piece monocoque design. So it's quite solid. It's still got window runners, so the pillars for holding up the roof and also making the window apertures. And the lights are included, interior lights are included in this upper deck roof assembly. It's quite solid. That pillar just comes off, goes on again. So I'll probably strap mount the camera onto my chest and do a final build as a separate video altogether. So the upper deck roof, the upper deck floor, lower deck roof with the interdecking removed, You can see the runners going across. That's the interdecking. I'll lay all this out tidily and show them all neatly arranged out. I might even have to use this side and get rid of that stuff off of there. This is a quick overview. The chassis is actually complete with components on it. So if that weren't the case, there'd be even more components. But this is just all completed. Front suspension, rear axle, engine, transmission, all the auxiliary components, battery, fuel tank, air brakes, tags, and basically that's the mainframe chassis as well. It's all complete. Transponder aerial and whatever else, tracker, I suppose you could double representative for that as well. So that's the chassis. Then you've got the lower deck seats, representative, wheelchair, backing, representative, front, extreme front seat representative, it's got the slight angle on it. Floor pan representative, or a floor pan assembly. It's the lower deck floor basically, which clamps onto the chassis. Rear engine cover encapsulated, or encapsulated with chimneys on vents. It's got the rear lights as well, still incorporated in them. You've got the front lower panel assembly with the lights and registration. You've got the bonnet catch. You've got the rear overhang assembly with rear lights and angled panelling. Angles up, tapers up at the rear. Sit like that, I suppose. Got the wiper assemblies, representatives. Passenger door assembly, the front door, driver cab door, vandal screen, tiger machine, etc. Representative, driver instrument panel representative. Adjustable steering. Driver's seat representative. Got the panels above the windows, actual body panels, which are reinforced so they won't push in with the supports that go behind them. So if you say that's the lower deck roof, interdecking goes in there with the lights representative. It's a bit above the door, the passenger door, it's a bit above the driver's cab. That's the monitors and driver's cab light representatives. Upper deck floor with the seat brackets and floor runners in the corners and banisters, and just another auxiliary, can double it as a monitor or whatever. Staircase assembly, which matches this bit here at the floor pan. Driver seat assembly, luggage compartment assembly, all the seat brackets and seat runners. Bulkhead for staircase assembly. All the upright pillars with the angle supports that meet the runners on the underside of the floor, upper deck floor. All the upper deck seats colour coded, and you've got the upper deck roof assembly, the roof with pillars integrated one piece, like monarchy design, a one piece design. It isn't one bit obviously, but it's all made up of plates that are overlapping to make it solid, and it has got runners going across as well, where the supports are for the pillars. That's easier going. I'll probably go because I'm filming. Hang on, I can't do it at the same time as filming. But what I'll be doing is strapping the phone at me when I'm doing the actual final build. Yeah, the ballast tank, which is the wheelbase bit with the coins. That's that assembly. And supports as well, just to seal it up, seals, depending if I'm going into the rest of the chassis. Lower strapping, just for reinforcing. Doubles up as the design as well, the panels, the lower side panels on the underside for the wheelbase. I think that pretty much covers it. Of course, as you know, the engine and all the suspension, all the components come off the chassis as well when it comes to final build, because I put a lot of pressure. I press fit this onto the floor pan with the pressure equally, so everything's got to be off during final build, final assembly, so it's all squeezed on and getting clamped firmly and equally. When it was done a dry run, it wasn't done firmly, so there's gaps like that, for example. This is the template model, and that will never be as rigid because it's not built to the same quality. There's you know, it's not all joined up and everything, it's not overlapping, you know, too many lines going right down, which is fail points, weak points. But this is built for speed because it's a template, but it has been weight synchronised as well because I've used ballast in there, so it's got the weight, whereas this will be done overlapping, so it's rigid, everything, there's no like loose ends if you like. It's all clamped and overlapping on every part of it, every aspect of it. So it's about 3 in the morning, finished with work, done a wee bit after my shift and absolutely knackered. Well, it's not far off 3, maybe about 2:30. So tomorrow I'm off and I'll probably crack on with the final assembly, and I'll film it on my other phone as a separate video. Strap it to my chest and I'll film it in real time. Another video I done with final assembly, and sure I sped it up by about 3 times or something, 3 or 4 times. Well, on this one I'm just going to let it record full time, so it'll probably be well over an hour, and least of all I can look back on it if you're all want to see it anyway. And if you're interested, I hope you are, you want to see it too. So that's the staircase assembly. So all that has to be assembled. I designed and built the whole lot, as you would have saw in the previous videos. And obviously when it comes to putting the chassis on the floor panel, the engine, all that stuff will come off just to the bare element. You know, the bare frame as you saw earlier. I just put that on there for demonstration, and I want to see what it looks like with it on anyway. In fact, what I'm going to do is weigh it. It's coming in at 173 grams, which is 1.47 metric tons, but obviously that's unrealistic. Lego can't possibly be the same density as steel that's used on the real model, because on the real model, about 2/3 of the bus weight is the chassis with all the components. So the ballast, obviously, you know, Lego's equal weight all round, so obviously that's unrealistic. It'd be, as I say, that would probably be about 7 tons, 6.5 ton. The body panels are just thin aluminium and fiberglass, and count for maybe 40% of the weight, the overall weight. Whereas the chassis, the heavy components, axles, engine, main structural components, it could be 60% of the overall weight of the double-decker bus. So, but you can clearly see that's not anything like realistic, because Lego can't possibly represent that. But the actual model, let's just say, has been weight synced to the rest of the models in relation to each other, which will make it realistic. And even if I put the ballast tank on here, it still wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be anything like enough. But that's just what it weighs anyway, and that's with the components. In fact, the ballast tank could weigh it with ballast. That's the wheel base one, so it only comes in just under a metric ton. It's 115, because you know 117 equals a metric ton, so it'll only bring it up to 2.5 ton. But as I say, the ballast tank and ballast is there as the overall vehicle, you know, to get the whole vehicle weighing 10.8 tons in relation to the others, as the common denominator of 117 grams equaling a metric ton. So like that tipper that I built, top shelf model, but it was built quite a while ago. That's about just under 12 tonnes in real life. So that's more equal to the weight of the Gemini. So it'll be a little bit less than this, because it's going to be 10.8 tonnes. We'll take the car, for instance, one of the production model cars that I've got. So I've got identical cars, made identical, every single joint except the colour. Everything's identical. We've got about 10 of them. And that weighs a metric tonne, I think, just over. In fact, I could tell you on weight, it's a demonstration. 161, 162, 161, so divide that by 117. So it's 1.376 metric tonnes, or 1,376 kilograms. So it weighs that in relation to the 10.8 tonne bus, the car being 1.3 tonnes, the bus being 10.8, but the equivalent proportions to the weight in relation to each other are the same, because 117 grams equals a metric tonne. That's what I try and explain a bit better for you. And all the weights are the same, like this bus model here, for example. This is a Volvo B10M city bus, single decker, and it weighs 9.4 tonnes. It's got the engine, this mid-shelf, this is the mid-shelf model, by the way, so it's not a top quality shelf one, it was built quicker. This one weighs 1,073 grams, so that, divide that by 117, which is not doing, start again, right. Yeah, because I've got to press down on it and then holding the calculator phone at the same time. So it's coming at 9.162 metric tonnes, or 9,162 kilograms, which is about right for the ZF gearbox Volvo B10M city bus single deck. Some of them weigh more or less. Maybe some of them could be 9.8, some of the early carriages, or could be as low as 9.12 tonne. Let's see, this is the mid-shelf model. It doesn't have the same quality build as the top shelf ones. It does have all the representation stuff underneath it. Axles, engine, transmission, exhaust, battery, fuel tank, seats. I've still got all the representation stuff. Volvo B10M, the engine's in the middle, so the ballast tank wheelbase is a little bit smaller. It's there because I've got to leave this area for the engine and transmission representatives, because it is a B10M after all. Fuel tanks at the back, battery at the back. It's just engine, front overhang auxiliaries, radiator. Engine's there. One of these cylinders, I can't find it now, but yeah, there we go, that's a good example. Each of these cylinders represent a litre. This is a 7 litre engine, so there's 4 on this side and 3 on the inner side. You might be able to see that. And then the other space is blank in there is used for something else. These also double up as all sorts of things, auxiliaries, tanks, air tanks, etc. But in the engine, one of them represents a litre. 6-cylinder engine it is anyway. But it's a litre which I'm concerned with. And this configuration that I've done it with this sump representative, rocker cover representative. The top quality, top shelf model Megabuses double decker 80-seater coach. Now it's a top quality one, it's a very heavy one, coming in at 2162 grams. Doing that by 117, that's coming in at 18.47 metric tonnes, which is about right, 18,478 kilograms, about 18.5 tonne. A lot of detail in this one, but I'm not going to go through all this because I've not got time. I'll be going to my bed shortly. But just a quick, very quick, I'm not going to open up the bonnet or anything, but that's the underside. There's lots of stuff, big 12 litre engine if I remember right. All transmission, suspension, lots of auxiliaries, ballast tank, there's also an interdecking, there's luggage compartment that opens, there's all the front heavy duty batteries, double fuel tanks, bigger suspension, lots of auxiliaries, there's a spare wheel in there. I've got a bigger one as well, I've got a bigger coach, 15 metre, 65 seater. This is I don't know, about 44 foot long or something, this, based on this model. But Yeah, it's got all the reclining seats, toilet, air conditioning, representatives, courier. This is a complex model. Took me ages to build this one. But I've got loads. I've got articulated lorries, fixed chassis lorries, I've got lots of things. Lots of components in this. Well, I've opened it, turned it around the other side, I've opened the bonnet. So all this is black because it's air take. It's the staircase is in there, the toilet on that side. All the auxiliaries and components all buried under there. There's stuff and components under there as well. But I'm not going to spend ages explaining it because there's too much to go through. There's even TVs and everything, representatives on the roof, lower deck and upper deck. Lots of driver's instruments, adjustable steering column, representatives, nice comfy seat for the driver, adjustable heated mirrors, heated wiper mirrors, representative, big high density front lights, lots of spotlights, etc. Big upper brake lights, etc. High density brake lights, lots of intercoolers, radiator, transmission, oil, hydraulic coolers for power steering, etc. All the component representatives is in there. Took me hours to build. Lots of bits. I could do another video explaining a parade of all my Lego models for a different video. But that'll do it for tonight anyway. I'm going to just call it a night of that. I'm going to go to my bed and knackered. Tomorrow I'll make a video of assembling my Enviro 400 MMC. So as I say, that's just a handful. I've got lots of models. Got more models up the stair. Twin buses there, identical. Volvo B6s, based on that. Got vans, Scuttle Scarab, tractor unit. There's 3 of these full-size single deckers, identical. One's up the stair. Fixed chassis flatbed lorry, full size. Got bangers, pro stocks. That's for stock car racing. Representatives. 4x4. Got loads of the car. Doors open. Got all that there. Stuff up the stair, as I say. I'm not going to show it all just now. I'll do it for another video. Right, that'll do for now. I've done enough tonight. I'm going to be at my bed, tired. Before I go to my bed, to give you an idea just how many bits there are, I counted out one of my models. I can't remember which one it was, I've logged it in, but a typical model must have been something like 1,500 individual parts. 1,500 pieces of individual Lego. Everything, every single piece, including every coin as well for the ballast on, and counting the sellotape on one of the single. I can't remember what one it was, I'd have to look back. So it wouldn't be far off. It'd be something like between 1,000 and 1,500 individual parts. For this being a double decker, it probably will be nearer the 1,500. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, it'll be probably somewhere in the region of that anyway. That's like every single bit of Lego, every single item, like every bit of tape, every coin, even the wee bits, all the seat brackets, everything, tyres, off the rims, the lot. All the bits that could come apart without breaking them counts as an individual component, and it will be something, it'll be well over 1,000 anyway. If you're wanting to see my YouTube videos I made using footage I'd taken of the real banger racing events that were shown in the introduction to this episode, then I've included links in the description to this episode. I have also included links in the description to some of my other LEGO YouTube videos I made as well. Thanks for selecting my videos, and I hope you enjoy them all.